always happen in Vancouver, but the sun comes up the day after a loss like that one. Just put the work boots on and get right back at it.
Yeah, it's a weird game. It's it's one of those things. Got comfortable 4-1. Power play was cooking. Kind of gave him life on the shorthanded. That kind of. And then, obviously our D zone coverage was a little bit loose. At the end of the day, though, I think we gave him 11 chances at 5-on-5 or 6 grade A's. It wasn't horrible. It just it looked horrible, and obviously our decision making with the puck, the turnovers, it was like a loose game. So it's game 1, and we'll learn from it.
You've got some healthy bodies here, and look like maybe Juulsen's going to get a look here.
Yeah, we haven't made a decision yet, but Jules could get in, Suits could get in, so I think he's feeling better. So there could be some lineup changes.
You said yesterday morning that game 1, everybody had to temper their emotions a little bit. Did the coach have to temper his emotions?
No, I wasn't upset at all. I mean, to me, it's a learning lesson. It was plain as day. Like game management. I think we gave Calgary some life with a shorthanded goal, and I think they started winning more battles. And honest to God, we didn't go through a guy. I mean, that's the only thing I dislike. I don't like when guys circle. I think we were circling everything because, like I said, it's 4-1. People thought it was going to be an easy night, and there's no easy nights in the NHL. And I tip my hat to Calgary. They worked their asses off.
And you mentioned identity last night. Is identity something that the team constantly has to work on? Is it a mistake to think that the identity from last year just carries over?
Yeah, but identity is something you're creating and you're always building on it, and you got to keep the foundation of it. You're on the ice for a minute, you have the puck. Instead of making a play, high-risk play, and then we have to defend, you keep that. That's championship teams do. Now, listen. Even championship teams will make mistakes, and they'll get out of their identity every once in a while. It's it's that how quick can you get back to your identity? So obviously, tomorrow night we're playing if you're talking the top 3 teams for hard work, and Philly's top 3, they work their asses off. So we got to match that effort and learn from last game.
You talk about lessons, applying it to players. Is it lessons for you as well as a coach?
In what sense?
Is there something that you draw from?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really believe that, my lesson is I'm not going to go in after the game and rip the guys. I mean, it was they know, they owned it, and it's let them steer the ship here. We'll give them the game plans against Philly, and most parts of the time we adhere to the game plan. We didn't lose a lot of losing streaks last year because of it, so I give them a lot of credit. Yeah, a little bit of a stinker, but we'll bounce back from it.
Philly were a big challenge for you guys last
year.
Yeah. Is this actually kind of the perfect challenge for you coming off last night?
Yeah, I think we keep saying the lesson. It's just I honestly don't think it's much other than the fact that our time and space in the D zone and not playing a little gritty enough in our own end kind of costs us a little bit, and that's just not us. So, a little bit's on me. I've been preaching transition. I've been preaching all this other stuff. We still got to be the meat potatoes without the puck, and that's why we did a little bit more 5-on-5 play today.
Rick, when you talk about that D zone coverage, is the major emphasis with the new guys learning the system, or is it just refreshing some of the guys that have come back?
Yeah, I'm not going to point fingers to them. It's them learning too, because there's some spots that a couple of those guys were kind of, they kind of left their man because they thought of something else. So it's, we just got to give them some reps. We got to give those guys some games with the full team. Like I said, it's a training camp. You got to remember, half the team's playing. Some guys didn't even play. Like Millsy didn't play there. So there's some rust that still going to have. I don't know, last night you saw how many goals were scored. I mean, 8 goals, 6 goals. I think that's the first thing. And after exhibition games, the first bunch of games, there's a lot of goals because guys are kind of all over the place D-zone coverages. So,
what did you see from Juulsen this far?
For his camp? Yeah, I think he's had a pretty good camp. With Jules, you're going to get what you get. He's a guy that we're lucky to have him, and we can put him in at any time. And, I think that he had a really first good 2 weeks. I thought a couple exhibition games he struggled a little bit, but when he plays his identity, he's a really good player for us.
Rick, 12 block shots last night, and it looked like on a couple of goals, players were in position, but they were just a little bit off.
For us, defensively?
Yeah. Is that something that you can work on in practice, actually blocking shots and getting in that position?
Yeah, I mean, blocking shots is tough in practice, but boxing out and chipping the body, you can do. We can practice that. That's habits. And I think when you box out and you let your goalie see the puck, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, box outs. And, I'm not sure that we were that bad boxing out last night, but it's something that we should always work at.
Did you say anything to Shelovs, or do you think you needed to say anything to him?
Yeah, I talked to him after the game. I said, listen, if you're going to be in this business a long time, those games are going to happen. He's a really good goaltender. And to be a really good goaltender, you can ask Demmer, you're going to have a night like that, where, he said, I could add this one, I could add. You just go and, come to practice the next day and you work at your game. I mean, he's fine. I mean, we've put him in tough spots and he's responded, so I'm not worried about him.
With Juulsen, you saw his job last year. He had an opportunity to get some one-on-one time. It wasn't maybe successful right off the bat, but he improved his play. Is he the blueprint for Forbort and Bayharney in that regard?
1,000,000%. I think that whether Vinny sits out some games, he's going to work with our guys. Worked with Hoggy, worked with Dakota. Like, you can't be afraid to have that. Juulsen can come in, I don't know if it's tomorrow or the next game, and we can have a little bit of a rotation, and guys can work with the coaches. I think that's important.
You never want to lose, obviously. As a coach, is it easier to get their attention if you give up the overtime goal give up the overtime goal rather than score the overtime goal?
I'd rather win and have that lesson, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Honestly, it's these are moments, and it's like I said, it's the first game of the year. I'm not quite sure the coaches have to say too much. I mean, the players watch their shifts. They know what they could do better. There's some forwards there. They had average nights or less than average nights. And why did you have an average night? I have, they'll hear from me why, but I think they say it. I don't have to say it.
On the third pairing today, just your thoughts on what you need to do if you get a chance to get in.
Yeah, I think just keep it simple, go north when I can, and just not overcomplicate the game. I think it's going to be the biggest thing for me.
How have you felt about your camp and your preseason and where your game's at?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty good so far. Obviously a couple preseason games just to get into it and feel the puck and back at action. But obviously the regular season is a little different than preseason, so I think, like I said, tomorrow's just going to be keep it simple if that's what it is.
What was the focus today at practice after watching last night?
Yeah, just getting into guys, taking the body, staying in front of guys, and then managing the puck a little bit here and there.
Rick has been so big on staples and structure since he got here. What did it look like to you watching last night? I mean, that didn't look like sort of Canuck hockey that we've come to expect.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, get off to a 4-1 lead there, and then I think the second period we just sat back, just on our heels there, and felt a little too comfortable. I think being up 4-1, and it was too easy. And then they get one, and they're right back in it there, and then they just started rolling with it. And I think just little errors we made in our D zone, just coverage wise, and it's things we can fix. And it's only one game, which is nice.
Skated with a new partner today in Forbort.
Yeah.
Is there an adjustment period there, or how did it feel with him?
I think anytime you're with a new partner, you just got to talk. If you guys talk and talk everything out, I think that will help with your success on the ice. So just talking to him and reading off him and how he plays.
Is there any timeline in terms of that chemistry?
I think it can happen right away. I mean, if you gel right away and everything goes well, I think you'll be good to go.
Last year you didn't play with Serbia, and obviously we all know that. But I mean, how much did that toughen you up mentally for this year and beyond?
Yeah, I think you learn a lot, obviously, in that time. I worked on a lot of things with Footer, Ganch, Yogi, whoever it may have been at the time. But I think you just learn to, stay with it every day, and at some point you will get a chance again.